Well, thank you for joining us today. To start off, yesterday, the family, we lost my uncle, David Hicks, passed away, and he was a credible man. Condolences to the Hicks, literal, the entire family. He went to University of Tulsa and played baseball back in the day when they had a baseball program. He was an incredible athlete and engineer. And he was an avid fisherman, had a place up on Lake Tenkiller. And when I first bought my house on Lake Tenkiller and started fishing 20 years ago or whatever, he was the first one to take me out on the boat and show me all the spots and all the techniques on how to catch them ornery smallmouth up there. So condolences to everybody out there. We appreciate all the prayers for the family and the loss of our Uncle David Hicks. So this week, in the past week since we talked last, AT&T went down. Then DirecTV went down later in the week. For those of you who had DirecTV like me, you realize you didn't have any TV for an evening. And then yesterday, lo and behold, Facebook went down for a short period of time. And we were all convinced the end was here. But it tells us that when these three of the world's largest media communication giants temporarily failed us, and we lost the ability to communicate and to hear those words, it reminded me of one thing. God's word never fails. God never goes offline, and He is the one true constant that we can always count on. In Isaiah 54:17, it says, "No weapon formed against us shall prosper." Now we really have to look at that verse. God does not say there will not be a weapon. He just says it will not prosper. And weapons that come against us come in a lot of different forms. And today, we're going to talk about one of the worst weapons that comes against us, empty words. What are empty words? Well, they're negative words. They're words and sayings that have no spiritual value, but they have incredible power because they can tear you down. They don't build you up. They can discourage a person, and they can even be very hurtful. Examples of empty words. They come in the forms of criticism, gossip, jealousy, rumors, and lies. Maybe you've been the victim of criticism from your boss or a coach or a teacher or somebody. You felt the sting of that criticism. Maybe you've gotten with your friends and you've engaged in a little gossip, talking about somebody else when they're not present. Maybe it's jealousy. You think your neighbor got it better than you. How's he so successful? Why's he got all this perfect life? And you say some negative comments that are empty. Rumors. Maybe you hear a rumor about a coworker and you just fuel the fire and continue to spread it. And then there's the worst one, the flat out lies of the devil that he speaks, that often we hear within our own minds. All of these are empty words, and they can tear us down, and they can hurt and harm our ministry. Have you ever been guilty of passing any of those things along? Anybody ever been guilty of criticism, gossip, jealousy, rumors, lies? Well, I don't see any hands, so maybe I should just give the mic and okay, I got some volunteers. They didn't want to come up here and talk. So it reminds me of a story about three preachers that were out fishing one day. And they're in the boat, and the fish just aren't biting. And they're just kind of sitting out on this quiet day off. And the first preacher says, "Hey, you know what? I got an idea. People always come to us confessing their sins. What if we confess to each other our biggest sin in life?" And the other two said, "Well, okay." He goes, "Well, I'll go first." He goes, "My biggest sin is lust. I got to admit, guys, I like looking at the pretty girls. I like going down to the beach and watching them walk by, put on the dark glasses, the mirrored glasses, you know, put the book up that I never read, don't turn the page for 3 hours. I got a real problem with us guys. Well, the other two preachers kind of raised their eyebrow. Ooh. Second preacher goes, okay, my biggest sin is greed. I just did my taxes. And I got to admit, I cheated on them. I kind of understated my income a little bit. I kind of overstated my deductions. Kind of fudged a few numbers. And I cheated on my taxes, just hoping to get a little more back. I got a real problem with greed, guys. And it was really silent and awkward in the boat. And they finally looked at the third preacher and they said, what about you? He goes, well, my biggest sin is gossip. I just can't keep a secret. And that's how it begins. I'm sure the other two preachers were really thrilled to hear that one. And that's how it starts to spread. And that's how empty words become damaging to us. So we're going to take a test today. Everybody loves tests. We all look forward to test day. So take your sheet of paper and turn it over, your message notes, take your pen. This is going to be an easy test. You guys are going to ace this. First question. I want you to write down the names of the three richest people in America. That one's going to be easy. You hear about them every day. You probably were griping about them this week. So write down the 3 richest people in America. That one's easy. All right, let's give you the second question. Even going to be easier because I know we got a lot of football fans, sports fans in here. Write down the last 3 Super Bowl MVPs. No Googling. Corey, caught you Googling. Last 3 Super Bowl MVPs. List them. We talk about football. We all talk about the Super Bowl. We all watch it, right? It's only 3 years. Everybody can remember last 3 years. 3 richest people. Last 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Now I want you to write down the last 3 Academy Award winners. Actors and actresses. Because you all love movies. Who watches TVs? Who goes to the movie? We love entertainment, right? So it's real easy. Who won the last 3 Academy Awards? You see, the reason these are easy questions is because it's business, it's sports, it's entertainment. It's things that we're all interested in. And the reason they're easy questions is because these individuals reached the highest peak level of perfection and performance in their trade. They are the best of the best, the most talented. They've achieved it all. So everybody got them all listed? It was easy, right? No? Not so easy. Okay. Let's try another test then. Okay, scratch through that test if that wasn't that easy. Write this down. Write down the name of a teacher, coach, mentor, pastor, somebody that had a positive influence on your life, that encouraged you, that said something positive to you, that gave you motivation. It could be a teacher. Maybe it's a coach, or just somebody that mentors you, or somebody in your church. Write down that name. Second question. Write down the name of a friend who's always there for you. When you've been in your darkest moment in life, when you've been suffering and hurting, you've experienced loss, tragedy, who's that one friend that calls you, that prays for you, comes by and just sits and holds your hand or gives you a hug? Write down that friend. Hopefully you have more than one, but write down one. And the third question, write the name of somebody you most enjoy spending time with. Who do you most enjoy spending time with? Don't look at the person next to you. They might not be writing down your name. Yeah, Okay, which test was easier? Now the first test was the best of the best, the biggest and brightest names and stars, right? Did anybody get all 9 of them? Did anybody get 3 of them? No. But the second test, who could all identify those individuals? It's because the people who make the the most difference in their lives are the ones who care. The ones who speak positive thoughts and words of encouragement and that inspire you, that make the difference. Ask yourself this: what do you mean to others? Do others seek you out? Who calls you and says, I need you right now, I need to talk? Who reaches out to you in a time of need? Who's always there holding your hand and calling and asking you, I need you now? Who's that person that every day says, I'd like to spend more time with you? Can we get together for lunch? Can we spend some time together this weekend? I miss you. I need you. And you have the opportunity to do the same thing that they did to you, to speak life back into them. See, sometimes we complain about someone, or we're critical of other people's comments instead of building them up. And it might come through social media. It might be a family gathering. You got the wild child that's pumping the cookies off the cookie plate and it's bouncing off the walls. Somebody makes a comment about your parenting. You go to a social event, a big, high, powerful business dinner or conference, and you see somebody comment about the way somebody's dressed or behaving. And to make it worse, what do? We can't wait to get in the car and recap the evening. We're going to call our bestie. You're not going to believe what my cousin said about my child-raising abilities. You're not going to believe what the boss's wife wore tonight at the dinner. Oh my gosh, how scandalous. And we fuel the fire, and we spread empty words to others that aren't even involved. And that's how empty words can destroy lives and hurt people. Matthew 12:36 says, everyone will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. Now, when Jesus said this, he was casting out demons in front, and the Pharisees called him out on it. He was doing it in the crowds, and the crowds were amazed. Ooh, this is great. And the Pharisees said he was doing it through the power of Satan, and he called them out. He pointed at the Pharisees and he called them snakes and a brood of vipers. Now, if Jesus points at you and calls you a snake, you're on the wrong side of history. You better get right really quick. And he says, how can I do this by the power of Satan? A house divided cannot stand. You're false prophets. You're lying. You're spreading empty words against the kingdom of God. It was a powerful message. Now, have you ever heard the phrase, don't sweat the small stuff? You all right? Let it roll off your back. But let's be honest. When we receive empty words, we let them impact us, don't we? You ever fret, fight, get upset over small empty words? Maybe it's passive-aggressive comments from somebody. You ever been the recipient of one of those passive-aggressive comments? Maybe you're the person that goes to Thanksgiving dinner and you don't bring nothing. You show up empty-handed. But boy, you eat like it's a buffet and you go hard. And you decide randomly, you know what, I'm going to pitch in, help out. I'm going to do some dishes and help clean up. And somebody, lo and behold, says to you, thank you for helping. Never would have guessed you'd be the one to clean the dishes. Did you get a compliment? I don't know. Maybe back to that child of yours and you're at dinner and you're at a restaurant with some family and friends and your child actually behaves well that evening. You're walking out the restaurant and somebody says, your child behaved really well tonight. I was so surprised. To get a compliment? Meh. Maybe you put on the new dress and you're going to show it to your best friend to see how you look for the big night out. And you send her a picture or you FaceTime her or whatever. What do you think of my dress? And the response is, yeah, that's so you. That the only color it comes in? Yeah, we all get those empty words, don't we? Negative social media posts, some hurtful texts, but don't empower them. Don't give those thoughts the time of day. And here's my advice. Do not take criticism from someone you would not take advice from. If you ain't willing to take advice, that you respect this person, that you seek out and want advice from them, why would you take criticism from them? Why would you give their empty words any weight to affect you whatsoever? And let's be honest. We all got to look in the mirror, don't we? We all need to stop excusing our own empty words that we use on other people and then accusing them of the same thing in a different situation. Matthew 7:3, Jesus says, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye?" That's a kind of a powerful deal. You got a little speck that you see in somebody else, just a little blemish, and you call them out on it. But you've got a plank, a board stuck in your own eye. The verses before that read, Jesus said, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use it, it will be measured to you." What goes around comes around. If you're going to judge, if you're going to be critical, if you're going to use empty words against people, that's how you're going to be measured. That's how you're going to be judged. So let's build each other up in the Spirit of Christ. Let's encourage each other. Let's speak life and positive words into everybody. And honestly, we're all human. We've all complained and griped about things. And we shared this before. It's worth sharing again. There's 4 types of complainers in the world. They come in 4 categories. So see if you've ever said any of these. The first category of complainers is the whiner. Now, you may get up in the morning and say, "Oh, good morning, good Lord. Thank you for my job, the opportunity to go work. I look forward to the blessings and even the challenges today." But maybe you're the person that gets up and says, "Oh, good Lord, it's already morning. I could have slept another hour. It's another day. I got to go to work again. I don't ever get any time off." You ever said that? You ever wake up with that mindset? Maybe you're in the category 2, the martyr. "Well, nobody appreciates me. They don't know how lucky they are to have me. They don't know how good they got it with me. They just don't appreciate me at all." You got that holier than thou complaining attitude that no one else is recognizing you. Maybe you're in the third category, the cynic. Somebody asks you to do something. The boss asks you to do something, and you're like, "Why bother? It's not going to make a difference anyway. Nobody cares about what I do. I won't get any credit for it." Or maybe you're the perfectionist. You ask somebody to do something for you and they do it, and you say, "Is that the best you could do?" Or even worse, "I would have done it differently." Well, why didn't you do it yourself then? You ask somebody to take out the trash or clean something or fix something, and then you don't like the way they did it, even though they did it. Now, you probably, like me, you probably looked at those 4 categories and those phrases, and you're trying to say, "Well, which one could I be?" And so I looked at it, and I went, "Oh my, I just went 4 for 4. I think I hit the cycle." It's really good in baseball. In life, not so good. Can honestly say, I've been guilty of all those things. Philippians 2:14-15 says, "Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that no one can criticize you." Complaining and arguing. We're told that if we could do everything, whatever we do, whether we like doing it or not, if we don't complain and we don't argue about it, we can't be criticized. Nobody can come back to us. Now, we've talked about empty words that we receive and hurt us, and we've talked about empty words that we speak negatively towards others that hurt them. But most importantly, how do you talk to yourself? Anybody not talk to themselves? I know some of you all talk to yourselves. I hear you doing it out loud in the office. I'm like, who are you talking to? But a lot of it, we all do it up here, don't we? We all kind of talk to ourselves. Are you positive or negative when you talk to yourself? Do you ever talk to yourself with empty words? Or do you build yourself up? Are you a positive thinker? Got the big presentation at work tomorrow? I'm going to slay it. I'm going to nail it. I used to take tests at school and walk up to the teacher and go, challenge me. Be positive. You're a winner. I'm going to nail. I'm going to get every cell today. I'm going for it. It's my day. My day. Or are you the negative person that says, I can't do that. I'm not a good speaker. That's too hard. I'm not that talented. Oh, that's not my cup of tea. Here's the deal. The devil's already against you. Don't agree with him. Don't double down. Because you're a child of God. Now, how do we combat those empty words in life? Three ways, real quickly here. First, be thankful for what you have and count your blessings. The biggest way to get over your feelings of negativity is to stop, be thankful, and count your blessings. Maybe keep a gratitude journal by your bed at night or somewhere. At the end of the day, write down something I'm thankful for. So you've had a bad day at work. You go home, house is a mess, you're trying to make dinner, then you got to put the dishes up, you got to do a load of laundry, but you're just worn out, you got to get the kids to bed, and you sit down and go, what a day, what a day. Get your gratitude journal. Dear God, thank you for dinner. Thank you that I have more than one set of clothes that I actually got to do laundry. Thank you that my family's here. Thank you that I got to talk to my children today, my grandchildren. Thank you that I got to call my mom. Thank you that I got to vote yesterday, that I live in a free country, that I got to go to the polls. You could have put me anywhere on the face of the planet and you set my feet right here in the United States of America. Thank you. And see if your attitude and your mind doesn't start to change. Number 2, pray for others, even your enemies. That's hard. But serve others and look to give instead of receiving. Because when you do that, you're pursuing God's purpose for your life, not your own desires. Number 3, do not complain about what God does for others. We all look at other people's blessings, and we just let the thief of comparison just tear us apart. And there's a great parable of the workers in Matthew 20, 1 through 16. Go read Matthew 20, 1 through 16. There's your homework assignment. The parable, we've heard it before. There's a guy that owns a vineyard, and they got to get all the grapes and the crops in before sunset, and the storms are coming, and it's going to freeze. And he says, go get me all these workers, and I'll pay them a denarius. A denarius in that day of Jesus was 1 day's wages. And they go recruit the workers. And they come to the owner at mid-morning and say, hey, we ain't going to make it, boss. We ain't got enough workers. Go to town and get some more. They bring in another crew. Hey, anybody for a denarius, will you come help us pick grapes? At lunchtime, boss says, how we doing? Behind schedule. Going to lose some crops. Go get me some more hired help. They go to the town market. Go Chick-fil-A. Grab some good righteous people. Bring them back into the field. Get to work. I'll give you a denarius. That happens again mid-morning. It happens at dinner time. And right before sunset, 2 hours before, it's going to be close. Hey, find anybody that's not doing anything in town. I will pay them a denarius. We got to get these crops in. And they do it. And at the end of the night, everybody lines up. And the owner hands every single person that worked a denarius. Now, what do you think happened? The people that showed up bright and early at 6 a.m. complained. Because the person that showed up at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. that worked 2 hours got the same amount of money as the person that worked 12. Even though both people agreed and negotiated, I'll do this for that. But the one said, oh, wait a minute, this is unfair. This is unfair. And so oftentimes that's what we do. We agree to every decision we make in life, but then we complain that somebody else is getting it better. Well, maybe you need to have them negotiate your life. I don't know. But let's don't complain. Be content with what God blessed you with at that point in time and in that moment. Because there's different situations down the road. You're going to be on the other side of the fence. So just don't complain in the moment. But what the parable teaches us something about how to stay focused in our lane, in our life in life. But the parable tells us something bigger about God's grace. There are some people that accept Christ at a very young age, spend their entire life dedicated to serving Jesus. There are others, somewhere have midlife crisis, do what they want in high school, live the party life, don't study, get through. All of a sudden they're missing something in life. They come to know Jesus. They spend the last half of their life serving Jesus. There are those that get to retirement and go, wow, that was it? I just spent the last 65 years of my life working like that, and now that was it? And they start going to church and serving, and they come to know Jesus. And there are even those on their deathbed, 2 hours before they pass away. A preacher holds their hand, and they have a conversation, and they accept Jesus. The parable is that parable, because whether you started early or jumped in late, God's grace is equal to get to salvation is to all of us. But we should not criticize or complain or have empty words, no matter what stage of life you're in. So I encourage you, in Matthew 20:16, that story ends by saying, so the last will be first and the first will be last. What's that really saying? There's no lines in heaven. There's no pecking order. By gosh, you're in heaven. What are you going to complain about? Nobody's got it better than the next guy. We all got there, and that's our goal. So in closing, let's make that our focus, and let's speak positive. Let's speak life. Let's speak God's truth to each other. And let's get rid of the empty, hateful words. And remind yourself of a couple of these final few things. Your joy does not come from your circumstances or how hard your day was. Your joy comes from God. Your identity, who you are, is found in Christ, not what others say about you. And your hope in life resides in God's promises, not your own dreams or plans for the day. Your strength comes from His Word, not from the words on Facebook and not from the words from other people's mouths. Your past does not define you. You've been forgiven, you've been washed in the blood, and you are set free. Your future is secure by the grace of God through His Son, Jesus Christ. Those words are full of life and not empty. Let those words be spoken from our mouths today. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you next week. Have a blessed day.